And this event, the Take Back Washington events and the Win Back Washington, actually has the support of the North Dakota Republican Party and the Minnesota Republican Party. And the chairman, state chair of the Republican Party of Minnesota is Tony Sutton, who joins us on our Newsmaker line to talk about the events of the weekend here on the Scott Hennen Show this morning. Tony, welcome to the Common Sense Club. How you doing?
Well, thanks for having me, Scott.
Nice to have you, and I appreciate your leadership very much at the Minnesota Republican Party. Private sector ingenuity being led to a political, force is a great concept and very obvious with the health care reform legislation passing and with the signature of Barack Obama and a whole lot of Democrats that have never signed anything other than the back of a government check. Proof positive how we need more folks like you, Tony, that are from the private sector affecting the political process. So thank you for doing what you do.
Well, thanks, Scott. And, I thank you for helping organize these events. These Take Back Washington events have really gotten the notice of people across the country and in North Dakota, Minnesota, and hopefully we can sweep the nation with events like this.
And, what's interesting is that there is a sea change politically going on in North Dakota right now because obviously Byron Dorgan was losing 22 points to an opponent who wasn't even in the race yet, and in a sense left the race. You have Earl Palmer right now, the target of Sarah Palin, and losing to other in the polls, and now up against a formidable nominee after the Republican Party conventions this past weekend in Rick Berg, and it's going to be an interesting race. A lot of folks think that hill is tougher to climb in Minnesota, but is it in this environment, Tony?
I don't think so. This environment is actually pretty good for non-Democrat candidates, for Republican candidates. I tell you that the mood out there in the country is unbelievable. It's like nothing I've ever seen in Minnesota and across the country. And this public control of health care is really the straw that broke the camel's back for people. People have said enough big government. I'm 42 years old. My entire adult life, the government has spent trillions and trillions of dollars trying to solve all of our social problems, economic problems, education problems, and they've only gotten worse, arguably. Now they want to take over health care, and people said, no way. And this is a catalyst for making real change in this country, and it's not just about repealing this horrible bill that was passed, but it's about making real reforms to take this country back.
Now, tell us about the participation of Republican Party officials and congressional candidates in these Win Back Washington events this weekend. Moorhead, as I mentioned, on Saturday night, in Duluth on Saturday morning. There's two districts that have two formidable Democrats that represent them, Colin Peterson in Minnesota 7, who voted against the health care bill, James Obastar, supposedly pro-life, but voted in favor of it. Talk about your chances in those two districts, Tony.
I like our chances a lot in both those districts. Over in the 7th district, northwestern Minnesota, up there in the valley, Colin Peterson, we basically shamed him into voting against the health care bill. If we hadn't been putting pressure on him, he would have voted with Nancy Pelosi and the Democrats. And I think the fact that he voted against it is proof positive that pressure works, that people's activism works, and such. He is very much out of touch with the people of that district. We've got great candidates coming forward. Our convention is coming up on April 10th up there in Moorhead. We're going to be selecting our candidate, endorsing our candidate, and we have got a great opportunity to take out Colin Peterson. Jim Oberstar in the 8th district, in the past has thought of himself as a safe incumbent, but not anymore. I think this is voting against his constituency. He's always been a so-called pro-lifer, at least nominally on paper he has, but now he's turned his back on those folks, and he's going to suffer the consequences. That's a conservative district. Other than the fact that he's been an entrenched incumbent, people get to know the real Jim Oberstar. Because of this, they're not going to vote for him. And
candidate recruitment has been tough in those two districts because those two are such of a force. Has the environment changed that? What kind of candidates are Minnesotans going to pick from to decide who will be the Republican standard bearer in those races?
Well, usually with these two races, we have to really twist arms to get at least just one person to put their name on the ballot. Now in both districts, we have multiple people coming forward to seek the endorsement, and people of stature, business people who have been worked in the Minnesota state government. In the 8th district, for example, we've got Chip Kravac, who's a former Navy captain, Navy pilot, Northwest Airlines pilot, just a top-notch candidate. We've got a businessman from Chisago County. We've got a teacher from Hibbing. We've got just candidates, an auto dealer from Grand Rapids. We've just got people from all different walks of life coming forward. And so instead of just having one person whose arm we're trying to twist to run, we have 4 people actively seeking it because they want to make change and because they think that the Oberstar can be beat. The same thing over in the 7th with Colin Peterson. Got a great candidate in Lee Byberg. He's a businessman out of Wilmer. Got a fantastic resume, great background, has the exact private sector experience that we need in government. You know, we need people who haven't just signed the back of a government paycheck, as you mentioned earlier, but people who know how to make a payroll and understand how difficult that can be. And so we've got a great candidates coming forward. Like I said, on April 10th in both the 7th and 8th district, we're going to be endorsing our candidates, and after that, we'll be supporting them. And you know, we just need to get people to get behind them so we can win in November. By
the way, be listening for the details on a candidate forum to help you select a candidate in Minnesota 7th that I've been asked to actually MC, that I'm looking forward to, and a candidate forum coming up early in April ahead of that April 10th selection process. So looking forward to meeting the candidates, hearing from them myself, and getting a chance to allow the Minnesota Republican Party faithful to pick a horse for that race. Troy, Park Rapids, Minnesota, you're on the Scott Hennen Show on the Common Sense Club with Tony Sutton, state chair of the Republican Party of Minnesota. Go ahead, Troy.
Yeah, on this health care, now that this has passed, and now the amnesty's coming, are these 20 million illegals going to have 7 years of no taxes so us hardworking Americans can pay for them also, besides having to have to pay for ourselves?
Good question. I don't know. Do you know the provisions of the bill there, Tony?
No, I don't. And I hope that I hope the amnesty bill doesn't get shoved down our throats like the health care bill, because I think that's a bad message. You can't reward people who have broken the law. We have to enforce our laws, and we have to get not penalize people who are here legally, but really to enforce our laws. This is an example, though. The amnesty bill is shoved down our throats. The health care bill. This could be an indication of where the Democrats are going. Where they, the problem, Scott, with these guys, Pelosi and Obama and Reid, they are true believers in this. They believe the ends justify the means. They really believe in this progressive agenda, and I think they're okay with taking some political hits, because they really think they're trying to save the world, if you know what I'm saying. They're trying to do the greater good. So they're willing to sacrifice a few congressional seats here and there and take a few political hits if they can get their agenda passed. That's what makes them, frankly, dangerous. Old Bill Clinton, he was more of an opportunist. He would kind of stick his finger in the wind and then kind of drift off if it looked like there was some resistance. These guys double down. These guys will shove things down the throat of the American people, whether they want it or not. And that is why we have to get people excited and motivated to take this government back.
No question about it. By the way, I talked yesterday to Tom Coburn out of Oklahoma, today to Mike Johans out of Nebraska. Both have said that they believe that they being Obama and the Democratic majority, are going to be emboldened by health care passing, that they're going to double down, that cap and tax and all these other things are coming, that this isn't going to be we barely got this baby across the finish line, we better do a little damage control now. Just exactly what you're saying, Tony. They are thirsting for this power and feel like they have a grip and know that they're going to do everything in their power to ram their agenda through. That's what this is about. That's what they're coming. So